Next session will not be easier because we're going to be, you take the current base bill going forward with the population growth and whatever the other shortfalls in tax levies are, and we're still going to have a structural deficit. We may not be wringing our hands saying we've got a $27 billion deficit this time next year, but most certainly it will be a $10 billion deficit. We've done the tricks and the adjustments, some of which we can repeat, some of which were sort of one-time things. We can go collect some taxes earlier. We can do some deferrals. But at the same time, we still, the people of Texas demand a certain level of service. And in areas where only the state can provide it. So we're going to be under the gun. One of the things that's going to be tougher is when we talk about public education. And we talk about a formula that was implemented, I believe, in '93 and it now has pretty well broken down. And we're going to have to go back and look at formulas and how we fund it. Look at the overall tax structure and how are we going to fund adequately from the state or from tax-provided funding. When you have some students in the state of Texas at 12,000 and some at 4,800 and less, there's a clear disconnect. We have to be very, very careful that we don't have a system that says by its very structure that we value the education and the future of some kids more than others. No, anybody would be loath to say that, but if that's the way your system works, that is a clear message that something has got to be done, and it's going to be pretty sweeping. We looked at some radical stuff this time, doing away with the target revenue system, which was an absolute train wreck from start to finish, where the state systematically picked winners and losers when it came to school funding. Nobody, even the winners, said it was fair. And yet getting it done away with is tremendously difficult.
You know, I noticed two things in that answer. One, the way you seem to, very comfortable with the term structural deficit, which some people would really deny, actually. Not a lot, but some, and I think many people that denied that held a lot of sway in the last session. And then the fact that people recognize the problems of inequality in public education funding. Those were very tough discussions in that last legislature. Now, we don't know who's going to be in the next legislature. We're not even sure what maps are going to be. But do you have any kind of optimism? I sense a certain underlying kind of faith in the ability of the legislature to engage this.
Public discourse has changed with the internet and communications where almost anyone can hold sway. Anybody with an idea or a bankroll. And what that has done to transparency in government, I think, is very good. Yeah, I'm always optimistic. I'm optimistic because of the elasticity of our economy. We have far more to be optimistic about in the state of Texas because I think we have a fundamental economy that's far more resilient and has more potential for growth in pure economic terms. When we talk about a structural deficit, we need to be very clear, and this is my simple view, which is pretty much is most of my views. And that is when we take the base budget, the budget we are working on today, simply rolls forward as the base budget in the next biennium. You add to that inflation, which is immutably present, things like population growth, variations in expected tax levy, that's where you get a structural deficit. Now you can call it a prospective deficit, you can call it a projected shortfall. I don't care. The problems are not grammatical ones, they're fiscal ones. And, I'm always optimistic, always.